Good day to all of you wonderful viewers out there. Hi, I'm Awesome Joe, and thank you guys so much for taking the time of your day to watching another episode of Awesome Joe's Play Back-to-Back Movie Reviews. And how was everybody's Christmas? Mine was pretty well decent. Great time with the family, a lot of gift exchanges, great time spending Christmas with each other. Well, it was such a wonderful, great holiday. I can't wait for New Year's to pop up, and I hope that everyone's Christmas and New Year's will come out just as well as mine went through. So, and today we're going to be talking about The Matrix Resurrections. I know I'm a little late to the party here because holidays are just one of my busiest times, to where I wish I could get to recording my videos. And like I said, when it comes to recording these videos, it takes a lot of hard work, a lot of editing, and a lot of time, a lot of preparations. So forgive me for being late to the party here, everyone, but here I am. Sooner or later, I was going to go ahead and discuss about this movie because it is something that I would love to talk about amongst all of you wonderful viewers out there. And if you guys have not watched this movie just yet, it is available out right now in your local theater and on HBO Max. Go ahead and check it out because this video does contain spoilers. It's very hard for me to hold my tongue against having to talking about what goes on into the film. So if anything that I would love to talk about, it's going to be talked about here in this video. So even though I don't want you to, but go ahead and pause this video, go and check out the movie, and come right back and become part of the awesome conversation that we're going to have here today. So let's go ahead and talk about this movie, The Matrix Resurrections. Now, I want to point this out really quickly, is that long story short, so the history of how I feel about this franchise all in general is that The Matrix was never really introduced to me within its first film back in 1999. As a matter of fact, I watched the first Matrix film during the time when we were getting the sequels back in 2003. So I saw the trailers for The Matrix Reloaded, and I thought that it was so fascinating that I needed to know what this movie was going to be all about. And in order for me to be prepared enough to watching this movie and enjoying it, I had to watch the first Matrix movie. So I went ahead and watched it, and I loved it. It was fantastic. A great, spectacular, mind-blowing experience. Something that really changed the world of movie development and sci-fi and kung fu action, things like that. So I had a great experience with the first film, and when I watched the second film out in theaters, I just got out of the last day of school during that time, and I went to go to theater and watch this, and I had a blast. I had such a huge, humongous fun with the sequel. I know that a lot of people are not fascinated with the sequels, and everyone is always so great about the original. That me personally, I had a great time with the sequel, and it got me so excited enough to where I knew like this was like a two-parter sequel, and I was excited for the third film, The Matrix Revolutions, to come out later on that same year in November. And me myself personally, I was so excited. I went opening night. I remember that, and I saw the movie, and it was, the thing is that the second film didn't hit popular fans enough to wanting to go and see the third film. That not really a lot of people went, so the theater was pretty much like maybe between 10 to 20 people, and then that was it. It just, I don't know. It's like I really don't see the reasons as to why people are not really fascinated by those sequels. I admire them so much. I really did see eye to eye as to what the director was doing in those movies, and I don't know, I just had a great, excellent, and amazing time, and I really did feel like it was its own trilogy within its own self. I even watched the Animatrix, and I thought that those set of mini short films were such a fascinating time as well too, that I would consider them as canon, part of the Matrix world. And the thing I love about that original trilogy is the fact that it never really expanded itself out there. It only contained itself within its own storyline. It never focused itself of going into several other directions, expanding this entire franchise into a bigger universe. Until now. When I heard that they were doing a Matrix 4, And knowing that Keanu Reeves was coming back, I'm like thinking, well, this is already almost a 20-year gap between from the last third film and to this one that's coming up. And then it was pulled back several times because of COVID related. And then having to know that once when they were finally releasing this, giving us a certain date as to, with the first trailer, which, by the way, the first trailer was amazing. Even the second trailer I liked a lot, but the first one was the first one I really did like. And then having it showing that it's going to be premiering on HBO Max, and I'm like thinking, oh no, then this movie is going to lose a lot of money. And if this movie is a good movie, I don't think that they're going to be able to have the fundings to prepare for another film. Because we already know that movies nowadays, they're all fan service. You know, things that we know that it has taken itself through from what it was before many, many years ago. They try to keep the fan service going, to keeping the movie more entertaining and more, even though it never really relates itself to being its own story. It just reflects itself from the recent films. This one was that same thing. You know, we did get Spider-Man No Way Home that had a lot of fan service in that, but they were able to fit it in with the story, saying, you know, we have a story here, but we're going to go ahead and put in the fan service because it's needed. It is part of that story. But unlike other movies, fan service is just in there just for the sake of the audiences to remember and having a good time about what they recently watched in other films throughout the years. So, and this The Matrix Resurrections is kind of like that. I think that this, because this movie is directed by Lana Wachowski, and I find that the way that she directed this movie was very lazy. I felt like it was very lazy. I felt like there should have been more commitment into developing this sequel. I mean, I wish I could say that I was highly excited. There was a part of me that would say, yes, I want to go and watch this. Yes, I would love to see where the story takes itself forward due to how everything ended in the last movie. For me, I felt all right with the trilogy itself, like I mentioned earlier. That I think that it's the trilogy within its own self was enough for me. I was done with this franchise. I was ready to go off and move on to whatever else was out in the world of cinema. But of course, studios always wants to go back and redefine, you know, bring back everything that was successful before, and then, you know, because I find it as a sign of desperation. They want to, you know, they want that. It's all about money, people. It's always all about money. But like I said, it's lazy writing. It's lazy direction. I feel like that they could have done better. In the way that this movie was developed, though, the way that the story was trying to develop itself, it was kind of related to how I felt what a Matrix sequel would have been after the trilogy. There were some similarities, so in a way, I guess you could call me a filmmaker as well too, because there were some ideas that I came up with that were actually in this film. Neo, Thomas Anderson, once more again, coming back, Keanu Reeves. Of course, we all know you can't really have a Matrix movie without Keanu Reeves in it. Then you get Trinity, which is playing another character into the movie called Tiffany, played by Carrie-Anne Moss. Returning characters, returning actors portraying these characters, phenomenal. I love how they bring back original characters, original actors playing those characters. It really does. It really does. Like, that's the fan service right there, just telling you that if you're gonna have a Matrix movie, you gotta have the ones that bring the audiences in and enjoy getting to seeing their characters perform themselves once more again. So I did enjoy it. One of the new characters that I actually find very fascinating to watch was the character Bugs, played by Jessica Henwick. And this movie does have a lot of relations to what Warner Brothers is brought into, and then, of course, all of its other properties. Kind of like what Space Jam: A New Legacy did. And like I said, even there, too, it kind of distracted me, even though it was entertaining to watching their different sort of properties brought into one film. It was a huge distraction, keeping me away from keeping my focus away from what the movie truly was. the Thomas Anderson character, Keanu Reeves, is no longer like a computer hacker anymore. He's more of a video game developer, and his video games that he's very successful into making are actually movie flashbacks that are part of the video game called The Matrix. So everything that we had experienced in the first, second, and third film was all just a video game. Not to say that the movies were a video game. No, it's just because this Thomas Anderson is a whole other different Thomas Anderson. And it's the same Thomas Anderson, but he's just brought back into the Matrix, and this whole entire different character now, a video gamer. But all these visual flashbacks that he's getting from the recent films, he develops that into becoming his own personal video game. He becomes very successful with. Now they are on terms with the company that he works with into developing a Matrix 4 video game. So I thought that was fascinating. I really did like that a lot. It would have been really much more better, but I find that people are much more fascinated with video games. But I would have found it a lot more better if they did Matrix movies in the Matrix. You know, I would love that a lot more better too. So here's something that I really disliked about this movie is the recastings. I don't like recastings. I don't. It really takes me out of the movie. I hate it. I hate it. Like, the biggest one that I hate so much is Mortal Kombat Annihilation back in 1997. You get only two people that came back, the two main antagonists, and everybody else is all recasted. Nobody from the first film came back, and every time when I watch that movie, I'm always scratching my head thinking, how better would this movie have been, even though the story was just terrible and the visual effects were just god awful. How much the movie would have been better if we did get the returning cast. And that's how I felt about this movie as well, too. There's only two in particulars that really, I don't know, it just kept me away from, I don't know, it just made me feel like I hated the movie just by watching these individuals portraying characters that are recasted just for the sake of the fact that they just did not come back. And I don't know, it really puts a lot of negativity towards the movie, and even after having to watching the movie, I asked myself, were their characters at all necessary? Because honestly, I could find that the movie would have been just fine if these two in particular characters were not included, and one of them would be Morpheus. Lawrence Fishburne was never asked to come back in, but Lawrence Fishburne was interviewed and asked if there were to be a Matrix 4 in the near future, would he be willing to be a part of that project? He definitely indeed wanted to do it. He wanted to become part of that project, but he was never called in to do it. Instead, he gets recasted by another actor named Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, which he's very familiar, the most playing Black Manta in the Aquaman movie. Does he have any similarities to how Lawrence Fishburne portrayed the character in the original trilogy? Not entirely. This character in this movie kind of puts himself in there like a goofier version. Like he's trying to be like Lawrence Fishburne's Morpheus, but I think he's trying a little too hard. He never really tries to make the character his own character. Instead, he's trying to be too much like Lawrence Fishburne, and that was a huge negative for me. I didn't like that at all. Like I said, after watching the movie, I found that character shouldn't even have been in it in the first place. If you got Lawrence Fishburne, definitely indeed it would be fine. But the character itself alone being played by somebody else, not a good thing for me. I didn't like that at all. And then the second one that I didn't like was Smith. Why in the world is Smith back? This is Megatron from the Transformers movies all over again. He died in the first movie. He was the main protagonist in that movie. He gets killed. He comes back in the second one. Then he returns in the third one. He gets killed, and then he comes back as a completely different character, Galvatron, in the fourth Transformers movie. And I'm like, why can't you just kill off this villain? Why can't you kill off? I know it's a very popular villain to the franchise, but if you kill a certain character off, please just kill it off. find some new development, develop something that'll bring audiences to wanting to experience different material. I don't like that you guys keep bringing back characters who get killed off. That's something I dislike so much. That they tend to do so many times in movies and in TV shows. It's like you can't really take a death seriously when it happens in any entertaining material, because you never know if that character might return. You might feel something for that character, but guaranteed you'll never know if they may come back or not. Take, for example, Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man. Even though Robert Downey Jr. wants to come back, that character is done. He's gone. We are moving forward with more Marvel characters. So even though a lot of people are fascinated with the Iron Man character, they love Robert Downey Jr., they would love to see more, the fact is the story of that character, the book is shut. It's done. Move on. So I think that that's what they should do with this Smith too, because even though it's the same thing that with Yaya's the actor Yaya playing Morpheus. This one is played by Jonathan Groff. It's not Hugo Weaving, but yet he tries to be like Hugo Weaving, and I'm like, why? What was the point? What was everything that we did in the original trilogy? Yeah, you killed off Agent Smith in the first movie. Then he comes back. Then he's the main protagonist for those sequels, and has the final fight, which is phenomenal. Gets killed off, and that should be it. Like the humans win. The machine, there's peace between the humans and the machines, and it's just like, okay, you set a deal, everything's back to normal. Okay, well, everything, the good guys win. But then you bring Smith back, and it's like, okay, what was the point? Now he's not really, he has a kung fu fight against Neo in the movie. Yes, he could be the bad guy, but then there's times where he plays off like he's not working for the good guys, he's not working for the bad guys. He is his own. He fights for his own side. And I don't go for that. I don't like it. I don't. If you're going to bring back Smith, you got to bring back Hugo Weaving. But even if you were to bring back Smith, I really found it to being unnecessary. I don't think that Smith should have come back. If you want to move forward and bring in more sequels, then you gotta bring in new material. Quit bringing in the same old thing over and over again. Once when you kill somebody off, once when you destroy something, leave it destroyed. Quit rebuilding it. It's not gonna work. It's just terrible. But anyways, those are the big negatives that I hated about this movie. That really brought the percentage down how I felt about the movie altogether. The antagonist, this is the character, the antagonist, which is Thomas Anderson's therapist, played by Neil Patrick Harris. I can't take this character seriously because he is like pretty much the bad guy. He is the new architect of this new developed Matrix. And I can't take Neil Patrick Harris seriously. It's really hard for me to say, to feel like this character is meaningful and has a sinister plan, and he's being the bad guy of the movie. I can't go for that. I really can't. It doesn't. When I see Neil Patrick Harris, I'm thinking How I Met Your Mother, Harold and Kumar movies. That's just how I see Neil Patrick Harris. I cannot see him as a serious actor. Not that I'm saying he's a terrible actor. No, he just felt too cartoon villainy in this movie. And I didn't like that. I hate that. Like, say, for example, the 2017 Power Rangers movie. Loved it. Elizabeth Banks' Rita Repulsa. Hated it. It was too Saturday morning cartoonish for me. I didn't like it at all. It was not down to earth. It was just like as if it was another character off of the TV show. So, and that's how I felt about this one as well, too. It did not feel like it was a true villain that wanted to take down the bad guys and rule over the entire Matrix realm. I didn't feel that. It was terrible for me. I did not like that. So I don't know what they're going to do with the character. Hopefully they do something different. If there is to be another movie after this, in a way, I really kind of hope not. I don't find that this would be something that they would move forward with. If they do, then then it sucks for me, because honestly, I would have. They really played me off. You get some returning cameos as well too. That some of them did pop up in the trailer, and I was okay with it, knowing that you're getting other characters from recent movies coming back. Like Niobe was not big of a surprise, but because it was in the trailer, that Jada Pinkett Smith was coming back. She's a little, she's more older now, because even though, you know, like in our world, it was a 20-year gap between the last film to now. But when it comes to the real world in The Matrix, it's a 60-year gap. So it's been quite a while, and the character of Niobe has aged. And the original Morpheus, the Lawrence Fishburne character, was elected as head counselor, but had already passed on. So it would have been great to see Lawrence Fishburne. But now the character Niobe is now leader of the Human Resistance, and you know, I love a tough woman who knows how to be a leader and put her foot down when she says so. But then there was one in particular that really caught my surprise that I did not think was really necessary either. But it was great getting to seeing him again, which is the Merovingian. And there was this huge purge that happened that, I don't know, really doesn't have anything to do with the story. Just probably to say that this purge was one of the reasons why we don't get to see any of the other related characters from recent films, like the Oracle, Seraph, Persephone, Train Man, and the original agents. But yeah, the Merovingian, played by Lambert Wilson, is pretty much one of the last remaining original Matrix characters that are in this new Matrix developed world. And he was only in there just to be yapping his mouth off in French while our heroes and villains are fighting against each other. And I don't know, him being in the movie, it's like, it was a surprise getting to see him. It was great getting to see him, but not necessary at all. I just don't think that it was it didn't really need to be a part of it. Just the fact of him being in relations to the original trilogy and now being a part of this, that's pretty much all it was. They couldn't really get anyone else back, so why not Mr. Lambert Wilson to come in and play the Merovingian once more again. And this one, the character does come back for this next character, but not the same actress. It was great getting to see that they went ahead and moved forward with this actress, with the character, because I was actually curious as to what if this movie Matrix 4 was being made, what happened to that in particular character, who was a child in the last film and now all grown up. Sati, played by Priyanka Chopra. And it was great getting to see her being reunited with Neo, and I think that it was really cool getting to see how much she helps out in having to rescue Trinity from her resurrection pod and be reunited with Neo once more again, because the way that the ending of the third film was, yes, of course, Trinity dies, and then Neo dies having to be fulfilling his destiny as the one, and you never really know what happens next after that until you see this film. Do I consider this movie canon? Did I like this movie at all the first time? First time, not really. The second time, I liked it a little bit more so that I could gain some more understanding. It's really hard for me to focus on the movie. I don't know whether or not if it's because I'm just too tired or the fact that the movie was just plain boring for me, but I continued to fall asleep during both viewings. And I want to gain a lot of interest into liking this movie, but unfortunately, even watching it a second time, it never really made my my reaction to the movie any different. I still have a huge dislike for this movie, and I really do wish that they would have done much more better. It was just so hard for me to say, hey, you know what? I don't know if I could consider this being canon to the original Matrix trilogy. I love the original trilogy, and I just don't see it expanding itself to being anything more than what it has been these last 20 years. But Rotten Tomatoes went ahead and gave this movie a 66%. And do I agree with that percentage? I actually, last time I saw the percentage, it said it was like in its 70s, and I'm like thinking, wow, it's really hitting critics that well. I mean, the movie must be that good. But then when I watched it the first time and even the second time, the percentage for me was very low, to where I went ahead and just gave it a 36%. That low. Like I said, there's some great aspects to the movie that I found very fascinating and entertaining that I really do wish that they would have put more development into. But unfortunately, the way I feel about this in particular film alone, it's not for me. As far as I'm concerned, there's only The Matrix Reloaded, and The Matrix Revolutions, and including as well to the Animatrix. That is a great, fun mini set of films. And so that concludes my movie review for The Matrix Resurrections, you guys. What did you guys think? Have you guys checked it out? If not, go to your local theater and check it out. It's also available on HBO Max. I'm glad that I went ahead and watched it on HBO Max. I always encourage everyone to go out to your theater and watch it instead, because it's always great having a theatrical experience with every film that you go out to watch. But unfortunately, because of the Christmas season and going Christmas shopping, going all crazy, spending all my money, I didn't have the money to go out to the local theater and watch it. So I was very grateful of it being on HBO Max and having to watching it. And to answer the question, would I have liked the movie any better if I watched it in theaters? Not really, not necessarily. I don't really think so. I don't think that the movie at all, period, reaches my expectations of being a really good Matrix movie. But anyways, you guys, I'm Awesome Joe. Thank you guys so much for taking in the time of your day to watching another one of my videos. You guys are such a huge inspiration to me for having to do my great and personal hobby, because I love to talk about movies, but most importantly, I love to talk about them with you. And don't forget that you can check out some more of my videos on Facebook and on YouTube. Just look me up at Awesome Joe Movie Reviews. Don't forget to click on that like and subscribe button there, you guys. I really do appreciate everyone's support of my channel. If you have any other further questions, comments, complaints, or concerns, please feel free to leave it down in the comment section in the bottom. And let's have an awesome time talking about this movie or any movies that you'd like to talk about in general. So anyways, everyone, I'm Awesome Joe, and a Merry Christmas to everybody, and a Happy New Year. And I'll see everyone in the next video, or otherwise I'll just see you next year, which is in the next couple of days. Bye. Thank you.